Imagine living with someone whose mere presence makes you feel unsafe, and then discovering they might be harboring deeper, more dangerous issues. My former roommate's hostile behavior and strange reactions whenever I'm around are escalating, and I'm genuinely concerned for my safety. How do you handle a situation where your ex-roommate, who now lives with your boyfriend, seems to be a ticking time bomb? Here's the full story, and I need your advice on how to navigate this increasingly tense and potentially dangerous situation. TLDR, my presence seems to physically bother my ex-roommate, who is now my boyfriend's current roommate, and I'm worried that he might react with anger and potentially hurt us one day. I'm altering some details to protect everyone's privacy, but the main storyline remains the same. I apologize for the length. This situation has been getting to me for a while now. I used to live in a house with 5 other people, including John and David. I started dating David last year, and as a result I moved out to normalize our relationship. Around the time David and I started getting close, John started to become more hostile towards me. I believe that John also has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. After I made some scathing remarks about drunk drivers, I've lost property and friends due to drunk driving, and I stand by my comments. I think his antipathy towards me deepened. He started making awkward comments about David and me before we officially came out about our relationship, for example. How was your weekend? Bet it was intimate, just really weird stuff. This all came to a head when the house went on a wine tasting trip at the end of last summer. Everyone got trashed, except me and one other girl, as we were driving, and John absolutely blew up in the parking lot in front of everyone, not just the rest of the house, but also random passers-by who were very bemused. Yelling, screaming at me and David, mostly me, saying that I was intolerable, that he was intensely uncomfortable whenever he was in the room with the two of us, that he couldn't take it anymore, and that our and David's relationship was all he thought and talked about to anyone. He insisted that everyone in the house felt as he did, that he had been talking to his coworkers about us, he doesn't have many friends, and that everyone agreed. He insisted that we ask the others in the house, as they would agree. They were all shifting uncomfortably during this conversation, as normal people would. I was a little afraid that he would lash out further, and David later told me that he thought that John would hit him. John then flipped me off like 500 times, saying, "Fuck you." Naturally, David and I were like, WTF, and we all left him at the wine tasting place. His parents live nearby, and we had driven his car up and drove home together because it was so awkward. After talking to other members of the house, it turned out that they had absolutely no problem with David and me hanging out together, and we suspect that everything else he said was also BS. Fast forward about a week of me studiously avoiding him. He texts me asking when I'm free so that he can apologize, but I ignore it because it's not my problem. He later corners, literally. I was standing with my back against the wall, and he was standing above me on the stairs. It was such a power play. Odd, me to non-apologize, saying that he was drunk and had been stressed out with work lately. He assures me that he's seeing a therapist, which whatever. Okay. So fast forward a few months. Tensions ease up between us. We can tolerate being in the same room together and occasionally interact neutrally. I mostly ignore him though. I then announce that I'm moving out, and tensions worsen. He can no longer tolerate being in the same room as me, as in, my presence seemed to literally repel him. If I walked into a room and stayed for more than 5 seconds, he would leave. I once tried to point out to him that his phone flashlight was in his pocket, and he snapped at me. I know. I also snapped a little. After 5 months of this bullshit, I felt it was all right, though I do know it's petty, and told him to calm the fuck down, after which he said, "Never talk to me again." I was like, okay. So I haven't since. It's been about 2 months since I moved out, and David and I are still dating. I spent the weekend at the house because David and I went to the beach on Saturday, and they had a Westworld viewing party on Sunday. I had a good time hanging out with the house. I'm still friends with everyone there except John, and I've even gotten to know the new girl who replaced me. She's nice. The other people in the house seem to like me, and David agrees. However, John still exhibited the same weird behavior of not being able to tolerate being in the same room as me, and even escalated it slightly. I was standing in the kitchen talking with another housemate. John walked through the kitchen, greeted the other housemate, and then retired to his room. We continued chatting when we hear a "fuck off" come from John's bedroom. I'm like, was that directed at me? WTF. He was uptight the whole time I was there, not even being able to fully relax. The new girl was like, "Are you okay?" to him, and he just shook his head, looked at me, and exhaled loudly. He was constantly exhaling loudly, as if my existence physically pained him. I greeted another housemate with some enthusiasm. Due to conflicting schedules, we hadn't seen each other for a while, and he muttered under his breath, "Get the fuck out of here," and left. It's just so bizarre and not behavior anyone would expect from a 30-year-old man. He's much bigger and stronger than I am, so I'm afraid that if I confront him, he might actually hurt me. David doesn't want to escalate things because he likes the house and doesn't want to move. I think he may underestimate the gravity of the situation, but am I overestimating it? But I'm afraid that this situation may become untenable. I want to keep visiting the house as I have friends there, but John is starting to scare me. Should I contact the landlord? Sit down with John and David and talk about it. TLDR, I have never had to see John again in my entire life. David and I broke up. I moved away and cut off contact with everyone. Also, turns out I'm gay. Life is good now. Shortly after this post, David and I had a sit-down talk in which I said I was no longer comfortable going over to his place. I showed him this post and how he was getting roasted in the comments. He agreed and started coming over to my place more. However, this became lazier with time and laziness, and he started asking me to come over to his house, which I hesitated to do. Basically, it backslides into how things were before, and he makes no real effort to change anything. At no point did David consider moving out, and as far as I know, they're still roommates. It's been a while now, so I honestly can't remember if John ever made an attempt at making an apology, but at any rate, he never made an apology I deemed to be genuine, and he always made me uneasy. No more serious incidents occurred. John never touched me physically. For this, I feel exceedingly fortunate. A few months after I made that post, I started wanting to move away for various reasons, mostly wanting a change of scenery and culture. And I realized that I didn't consider my relationship valuable enough to make me want to stay. That was over a year ago. We broke up, I moved away, and in quarantine, I've reconsidered my sexuality, and am now dating a lovely, thoughtful, and supportive woman. My life is much better now, and I see that I was allowing myself to be treated in a very horrible and toxic way. I also see that everyone in that house was, in a way, gaslighting me into thinking that John's abuse wasn't so bad in an effort to not rock the boat. No one, at any point, made any effort to stand up for me, including my supposed romantic partner, which honestly, now disgusts me. I'm not in touch with anyone from that circle anymore, but honestly, it's a good riddance. I'm so relieved that I never have to see any of them again. Anyway, despite being in lockdown and living in a deep, existential anxiety, I'm very happy, and life is drama-free, aside from the fact that I still have to come out to my family, lol. Thanks everyone, for pushing me in the right direction. Edit. I was not expecting this to blow up the way it has. David, I know you have a Reddit account, and if you're seeing this, I hope you're doing well. John is hella toxic. Good luck with everything. Edit 2. Seriously, this response is overwhelming. Thank you all so much for your support and well wishes. I hope all of my future coming outs go this well.